Hello, folks. November 23rd, 2025. This is Wager Detective coming at you from Atlantic City. It's about 8:30 in the morning, and we're going to cap this Minnesota Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers game. We're going to get into the head-to-head right here between both these teams. We look at what Minnesota has done recently. They are 6-3 in their last 9 versus the Packers. But over that time in 9 games, between their plus minus differential, they are minus 3.44 points per game average, and the average score is 48.8 points per game. And over the last 5, they are 3-2 versus the Packers, but they are a minus 5.2 on the plus minus differential average over those 5 games. Average score is 50 points a game. The last 7 at Green Bay, they are 3-3 with a push, and they are minus 4.86 points per game average over those last 7 at Green Bay, and the average score is 49.1 points per game. The Vikings are 7-4 in their last 11 road division games. In that time, they are minus 1.82 points per game average, and the average score is 48.4. And they are 5-2 in their last 7 road division games, minus 1 point per game between their plus minus over that time, minus 1 points per game average, and the average score is 44.1. If we talk about the Packers, their last 11 home division games, they are 5-6. They are plus 4 points per game average over that time, and the average score is 43.3. They're 2-5 in their last 7 home division games. They're minus 2.86 points per game average between their plus and minus, and the average score is 42.6. And the Packers are 2-3 in their last 5 against the division at home, plus 1.6 points per game average score 42. So off the bat right there, it looks like that line is a little too much to be giving. The 6.5 seems to be a little too much, as you see there. Over under 41.5. The over kind of stands out there, if you ask me. So that's off the bat, but we're going to get into it and cap it and see what's going on with the Packers. We look at them coached by Kevin O'Connell. He's a solid coach, man. I like Kevin O'Connell. Very, very good. 38-23. Let's not forget, this is a system play for the Vikings. They're coming off a couple losses, but the system play is in effect for this game as a double system. But if you look at O'Connell, 38-23, not having the best year, but it's not over yet. I mean, Green Bay Vikings are going to fight here, and if we know anything about the Packers this year, they looked very, very bad. I don't know what's going on over there with them, but they're not living up to the expectations that I guess they had in the beginning of the year. If we look at what they've done, they lost the last 2 weeks against Baltimore and against Chicago. They had 5 turnovers in the last 2 games, and I could pretty much guarantee you that they had an effect on whether they won that game or the game was a lot closer. They lost by 2 last week against Chicago. They lost by 8 versus Baltimore, both home games. Now they're going on the road. They lost to the Chargers. They lost to the Eagles. And they lost to the Falcons. All teams that are pretty good. Their wins are coming against Detroit. Solid win at Detroit. They beat Cleveland. And at Cleveland, which, all things considered, not bad, especially when you had 2 turnovers in that game. They're bleeding turnovers. They have 18 of them. I expect them to clean that up. Defensively, they've only forced 9 turnovers, so they're minus 9 on the turnover battle, and those are primarily the reason why Minnesota is having a hard time with the teams they're playing. They have to cut the turnovers out, and it's primarily coming by interceptions, right? You could say it was Wentz for a while there in the beginning of the year, but if you look at them, I mean, J.J. McCarthy had 2 last week, so they're going to have to clean that up. That's the big glaring concern with them. What they like to do, they have 13 passing touchdowns, okay, and they have 8 rushing. So the rushing game is also a problem. They're not getting enough going on the ground to help them, but they do have a touchdown on the ground in the last 3 weeks. which is impressive. But they have gone 3 games without a rushing touchdown, so that makes you a little bit more one-dimensional. If we look at what they do in the air, they have 4 passing touchdowns over the last 3 weeks. So they get in the end zone more by passing. Defensively, they've given up 14 passing touchdowns and only 8 rushing. So they're pretty stout on the ground, but they have given up a touchdown on the ground in the last 4 weeks. But they have not given up a rushing touchdown in 3 weeks, 3 games this season. Passing touchdowns, they didn't give up any last week. So they only given up 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing in the last 3 weeks. So that's not bad. They're playing, and that's against Detroit, Baltimore, and Chicago. So I think against Green Bay, I'm not impressed. I think Detroit, Baltimore, and Chicago, I think they got better quarterbacks than what Green Bay has. I think Love at this point to me is overrated. I thought he was going to be a stud, but the Utah State product is just not. He's not doing what you'd expect, or what you thought he might be doing at this point in his career. Let's take a look at the stats for Minnesota. Okay, they're 27th in yards, but they're 11th on defense and giving up yards. That stands out. 31st in turnovers, almost dead last in turning the ball over on offense, and they're not getting enough turnovers on defense. They're 24th in the NFL there. Where else did they stand out? They're 31st in interceptions. They're going to have to cut that down. They're 18th in rushing touchdowns, but they're 9th. They're top 10 in not giving up rushing touchdowns. And then passing touchdowns, they're 24th, but they're good defensively. This is a good defensive team. I mean, almost top 10 in both passing and rushing touchdowns given up this year. Okay, we look at what they do. Plays per drive. They're 7th in the NFL there, only giving up on defense, giving up 5.7 plays per drive, but they're dead last in plays per drive, with only 5.36. It's a tale of two worlds. They have a bad offense, but a stout defense with this team. That's what stands out for me. Third down conversions, they're 31st in the NFL, but on defense, they're 9th. And then you look at them on the red zone. They are 19 to 33 once they get inside that red zone for 16th best in the NFL. But look defensively, great again. They're 4th in the NFL, only giving up 15 touchdowns on 31 red zone attempts by the offense there. So they're going to have to do some things here better if they're going to have a chance at staying in this game. And with good coaching, that's always possible. So we look at McCarthy. He's been sacked 15 times in 6 games, or no, in 5 games started. So he's getting sacked about 3 times a game. So offensive line not turning the ball over and getting the running game going is what they're going to want to do here. That's the main 3 things for Minnesota. Don't turn the ball over. Keep an eye out for that. Convert your third downs and run the ball effectively. If they do that, they're going to have a good chance at covering this game, maybe winning, because we know Green Bay's not that good. Who's getting it done on the ground? Jordan Mason's got 5. J.J. McCarthy's got 2. But again, only 8 rushing touchdowns. Passing touchdowns, they got 13. Naylor, Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, and Justin Jefferson, they're going to want to get those guys going as well. If we look at who's returning for them, kick returners, Miles Price leads the NFL in returns with 25. He's averaging about 10.7 yards a return. That's not really that good at all. And then we look at kick returns. Okay, Miles Price again, 38 returns, about 25.9 there. So let's get into the kicking game for the Will Reichard. Okay, he is 19 for 21, not bad with field goals. He's 6 for 8 from 50 plus, so he could bang the long shots. 90.5 field goal percent, and he's 19-19 on the extra points. Punting, Ryan Wright, 41 punts, about 48.1 yards a punt. He's got the longest punt in the NFL this year with 77 yards, and 36.6% of his punts, of those 41 punts, are landing inside the 20. Defensively, they're not really, they're good, but they're not creating turnovers. They got 3 interceptions on the year. They got 25 passes deflected, 26 sacks, okay, 69 tackles for loss, and 55 quarterback hits. So not bad. I mean, 55 and then 69, and they're how many games in? 10. So you're getting 5.5 quarterback hits a game, and that could be something that can maybe create turnovers if they can get to Jordan Love and push him out of the pocket. So that's the breakdown of the Vikings and what they do well and what they don't do well. Let's take a look at Green Bay. They're coming off that road win last week at New York, but Wager Detective had the 7.5 with the Giants, so I covered that game. Let's see what they've done. I mean, their SOS, strength of schedule, not that strong. A team that's just, I mean, not really living up to expectations. You beat the Giants, you went to Pittsburgh, you won there. Let's see what would happen in those games. They don't turn the ball over all that much. We've seen what Minnesota does. This team has only turned the ball over 7 times, so they're safe with the football. Way better than Minnesota is. But they don't create turnovers either, though, right? They've only forced 8. So they're at the bottom of the barrel there defensively and creating turnovers, but they don't hurt themselves. So Minnesota is going to have to be crucially aware of not turning the ball over here and allowing Green Bay to flip the field or create points off turnovers. That's the number one key in this game, in my opinion, as we look at this game. So they, before the Giants win last week, they lost a couple games against Carolina and Philly. They beat Pittsburgh. They beat Arizona by 4. They beat Cincinnati. They pushed with Dallas. They lost at Cleveland. And then in the beginning of the year, started off good. They beat Detroit and Washington. So what do they do well on the ground for the Packers? They have 16 passing touchdowns, and they got 12 rushing. So they get in the end zone more on both sides between the passing and the rushing. Okay, and they have a rushing touchdown in every game this year except one, and then passing. And look, they keep Jordan Love upright. He's only been sacked 16 times, so it's going to be crucial for Minnesota to get pressure as well on the quarterback, try to create turnovers. Another glaring point for Minnesota. And then they had 3 passing touchdowns last week, but in the previous 2 weeks they had none. So they picked it up in the passing. What do they do on defense for Green Bay? They've given up 13 passing touchdowns, and they've only given up 8 rushing. So both these teams good against the run. It seems like it could be a one-dimensional game with which quarterback is better, which one doesn't make mistakes, and that's what they like to do. Let's take a look at the stats here for Green Bay. All right, they're 12th in the NFL in yards. They're 6th in giving up yards, so they're stout on defense as well. If we look at turnovers, they're 4th in the NFL on offense, but they're 28th on defense in getting turnovers. So again, another good defensive team. And not getting turnovers on defense. They only forced 8, but they're good with protecting the ball. If we look at passing touchdowns, they're 14th in the NFL on offense with 16. But again, they don't give up passing touchdowns. They're 9th in the NFL, top 10 in giving up passing touchdowns. 3rd in the NFL in not turning the ball over through the interception with only 3. Rushing. They're 6th in the NFL with 12 rushing touchdowns, but again, top 10 on defense with only giving up 8 rushing touchdowns. That puts them at 9th. And then if we look at what they do, again, good on offense. It plays per drive. So this is going to be the strength versus strength. Green Bay is 8th in plays per drive, 5th in yards per drive, and 7th in points per drive. But as we talked about Minnesota in this video, Minnesota is stout in all those categories on defense in those metrics, right? So it's something to keep an eye on there. They are number one in the NFL in converting third downs. They're first in the NFL, and they're 12th in not letting teams convert on defense. Solid there. They're fourth in the NFL in red zone percentage, 27 to 40. So that puts them at fourth, but not so good defensively. So that could be a way that Minnesota could really exploit them, because Minnesota's good at getting in the red zone and scoring, and they're good at stopping teams once they get in the red zone. So if I'm looking at this game, we'll look at Jordan Love. 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, pretty solid there. Only been sacked 16 times. He's got 4 fourth quarter comebacks and 3 game-winning drives. So that tells you right there, they're usually either playing from behind or the games are close. So that 6.5 could be valuable if Minnesota doesn't turn the ball over, gets turnovers, converts their third downs. So it's going to be an interesting matchup there. Now, if we look at what they do, rushing touchdowns, Josh Jacobs has got 11. He's the cowbell there. He's got 11 of their 12 rushing touchdowns. So I expect Minnesota to key in on him and make Jordan Love beat you. Put them in third and longs. If we look at receiving touchdowns, they got a bunch of guys. They got Romeo Doubs. He's got 4. Tucker Kraft has 6. Christian Watson has 2. They got 16 on the year. I mean, that's pretty solid, if you ask me. Then kicking and punt returns. Okay. What really stands out here, Savion Williams is their main guy there. 23 returns, 594 yards for 25.8 yards per return. Pretty solid. And then if we look at their kicker, Brian McManus, not solid. Look, 11 for 17, 2 for 4 from 50 plus, 1 for 5 from 40 to 49. So Minnesota looks to have the better field goal kicker too. Way better field goal kicker, if you ask me, especially if it's from long ways away. Daniel Wellen, 31 punts, 41.8. So I got the better punter and the better field goal kicker, and only 16% or 29 of his punts are landing inside the 20 for a touchback. So I got the better punter, I got the better field goal kicker, pretty convincingly from the stats we looked at. Now, if we look at defensively, you look at Keeson Nixon, 14, leads the NFL in passes deflected. And then you got Jordan Love's recovered 4 of his own fumbles, I guess. He leads the NFL there. And if we look at these guys on defensively, they got 24 sacks. They got 45 tackles for loss, 64 quarterback hits, and nothing really to glean there. Vegas lines, see what they've done. They, as a favorite this year, they're 3-6 as a favorite. All right, they've lost their last 2. So if you look, they've been a favorite in every game this year, right? 3-6-1. The ones they did cover against Pittsburgh, they were a 3-point favorite. They won by 10. And then they were a 3.5-point favorite. They won by 9. And then they were a 1-point favorite against Detroit. So the games they have covered, 2 of them have come at home. And 1 was on the road in Pittsburgh. This is a division game. Like I said, it's a double system for the Vikings. If I'm going to make a call here, I am going to, and then their over-unders, 4 over, 5 under, and a push. This one is set at 41.5. Seems a little low if you ask me, but it looks like both teams have good defenses. But historically, between these teams, like I said, last 9 meetings have gone to 48.8, and last 7 have been 46.7. And then if you look at the Vikings' last 11 division road games, they're averaging 48.4. It does come down a little over the last 7 to 44.1. And if you look at Green Bay, their last 11 home division games for Green Bay are 43.3. Their last 7 are 42.6, and then even their last 5 are 42. So if I was to lean a total on the side, I would definitely lean over here. And I think if it does go over, I think Minnesota is going to cover the spread. So that's going to be my call here. I'm gonna count on the Vikings not to turn the ball over, Green Bay to keep playing what we've seen all year from them, and then the head-to-head history, the fact that Minnesota is a double system. That's going to be my call here. Minnesota plus 6.5 and over 41.5 in this game. This is Wager Detective coming to you with the 20-minute cap on Green Bay versus Minnesota. It's 8:49 in the morning here from Atlantic City, and that is my call. Minnesota plus 6.5 and over 41.5 against Green Bay. I'll talk to you soon.